A lot of people around the world love Rick Harrison from Pawn Stars on the History Channel. Not many other people can say the same. The news that Rick was going to spend the rest of his life in prison was very shocking. This rumor is getting more attention because Rick has had some pretty big court cases and personal issues. Let us look at what happened to Rick Harrison and see how he is now. Rick was born on March 22, 1965 to John Richard Harrison and Joanne Rue Harrison. He and his wife had 4 kids, Sherry, Joseph, Rick, and Chris. Rick was the middle child. Rick's first terrible event was the death of his sister, Joanne Harrison, when he was very young. Sherry, their first child, was born with Down syndrome. She died too soon. She was only 6 years old at the time because he was only 8 years old, which made things even worse. He had to read a lot of books in bed. He loved reading about physics and history after that for the rest of his life. The Great Brain by John D. Fitzgerald, which is about a con artist in Utah named Tom D., is one of his favorite books. Who is 10 years old. Fitzgerald, who made young Rick think of things. Rick went to Taft Middle School in San Diego as a teen, but he quit in the 10th grade to sell fake Gucci bags for $2,000 a week. But when his family's real estate business shut down, everything changed. In April 1981, the family had to move to Nevada's Las Vegas. Things got even worse for Rick when his girlfriend Kim got pregnant. Rick had the guts to become a dad when he was still pretty young. They lost their first child in a miscarriage, which was another terrible loss. They didn't give up though, and after a year they got married. Then they had their first child, Corey. He became very successful and an important part of the family business as an adult. They were happy to have their second child, Adam, after 2 years. There was another terrible event. Rick and Kim broke up soon after Adam was born. Rick wasn't a single dad for very long though. It had been only 9 months since his divorce when he met Tracy. After he got divorced, they dated for 8 months before getting married a year later. They were also in charge of taking care of Corey and Adam now that they had a new partner. Since Rick's family had grown, he needed to find a better way to make money. His dad opened a 300-square-foot store while he was there. There is a store on Las Vegas Boulevard South that sells used gold and silver coins. To help his dad with the new business, Rick had to quit his night job as a police officer who took back cars. We already said that Rick liked history and physics. That's when he didn't know what he learned in class would help him with the new business his family was starting. Rick knew a lot about history, so he could back up everything in the shop with facts from the past. The family moved to a better place on Fremont Street after 5 years, but they had to move again after 2 years because they lost their lease. He and his dad later decided that the store should be turned into a pawn shop. In Las Vegas, there was a law that said the city could only issue a certain number of pawn licenses. This meant that they couldn't become a real pawn shop. In order to get a loan license, they planned to wait until there were enough people living in the city. They had some trouble with the law, but they finally got their pawn license. In the same year, the father and son opened the gold and silver pawn shop at 713 Las Vegas Boulevard South. It's not far from the Las Vegas Strip. The father and son's shop used to mostly sell one-of-a-kind sports and history items, but over time, jewelry turned out to be their most popular item. As their business grew in Las Vegas, people knew about it. Rick had worked hard his whole life to make the pawn shop business bigger. He had helped open the show and shop. As late as 2005, they were lending millions of dollars every year and making a lot of money in interest. The store became famous the next year for having one-of-a-kind sports gear with interesting stories behind them. Another thing they did was let gamblers pawn things to get money for petrol to get home. The History Channel became interested as they grew bigger and better known. This is how Pawn Stars got made, but the jewelry they sold was the most popular thing they had. Over time, their business grew and became known all over Las Vegas. Rick was now a part of the group that began the show and shop. He spent his whole life working hard to grow and improve the pawn shop. Through 2005, they were lending millions of dollars every year and making a lot of money from interest. The store became famous the next year for having one-of-a-kind sports gear with interesting stories behind them. Another thing they did was let gamblers pawn things to get money for petrol to get home. The History Channel became interested as they grew bigger and better known. This is how Pawn Stars got made. Brent Montgomery and Colby Gaines from Left Field Pictures had the idea for Pawn Stars while they were in Las Vegas in 2008. They loved that there were so many shady and interesting pawn shops. They thought that each one might have a different kind of person living in it. They looked for a store run by a family that could be used as the setting for a TV show. They finally found the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop. It was not far from the Las Vegas Strip, less than 2 miles. This shop was the subject of a PBS show in 2001. Rick had a dream of having a TV show about his shop for many years. In 2003, he was on an episode of Insomniac with Dave Attell. The idea was first brought to HBO, but they didn't like it. But they agreed to change it to the style we enjoy now that is good for families. They changed the name from Pawning History to Pawn Stars because it was a better fit for what they were making. The name is a fun play on the words porn stars. The first episodes were filmed at the well-known Gold and Silver Pawn Shop in Las Vegas, Nevada. At Pawn Stars, people mostly pawn gold, but they also bring in a lot of other old or used things. Many times the store is locked and only a small group of people are allowed to be there during a shoot. The show made the Harrison family famous. Many people watched, liked, and asked for more, which made the show grow and keep coming back every year. By 2011, Pawn Stars was the most watched History Channel show and the second most watched reality show overall. Rick also wrote a book that year. It was called License to Pawn Deals, Steals, and My Life at the Gold and Silver. It got to number 22 on the New York Times list of bestsellers. In the same year, Rick and Tracy, his second wife, broke up. The next year, he chose to marry Deanna Burdett, who was also divorced. He had been divorced twice before. Rick was happy that his show was doing well and that more people were becoming fans. It was called I Lost My Head in Vegas, and he, Corey, and Chumley played themselves on the show. After 4 days, Rick played the owner of an antique shop on a different show called The Middle. He married Deanna Burdett in Laguna Beach, California around this time. He has 3 stepdaughters from this marriage. Their names are Serena, Sienna, and Marissa. Pawnography, a new game show on the History Channel, began airing in July 2014. Rick, Corey, and Chumley played against other people to stop them from winning money and items from the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop. Soon after the death of the family father, a series of terrible things would happen to Rick and his family. Rick's dad died in June 2018. More than 250,000 people follow Rick on Instagram. He told them that his father had died and that Parkinson's disease was the cause. A family member of Harrison said that the father had died. Rick's 77-year-old father, Rich Harrison, died this morning with his family and friends by his side. A close-up picture of Rick's dad in a black suit, glasses that matched, and a cap was posted. Also, he wrote a beautiful poem about the man who had helped him run the family business. We will miss him a lot, as will everyone at Gold and Silver Pawn and all of his friends around the world. We are deeply saddened by the passing of our friend Richard the Old Man Harrison, a beloved member of the History and Pawn Stars family, the History Channel said in a heartfelt statement. He was honest and smart, and we will miss that. We are thinking about the Harrison family during this hard time. Rick also talked about how much his father meant to him. He was my hero, and I was lucky to have such a cool old man as my dad. I'm glad I could show how great of a family man he was to so many people. He also said he lived a full life. Pawn Stars taught people all over the world how important family, hard work, and humor are. Thank you for your thoughts and prayers. Please give us some room right now. Today I lost a friend, a father, a teacher, and so much more. He wrote next to a second picture of his dad when he was young and in the Navy. The old man lost his long battle with Parkinson's this morning. I love you, Dad, and I'll see you soon. It broke Rick's heart when his dad died. He had to take care of his family and run the shop by himself. Rick was already under a lot of stress from his third marriage, which ended in divorce in September 2020. TMZ got a copy of court papers that said Rick Harrison and Deanna Burdett didn't seem to be able to stay married because they were so far apart. Rick said in the suit that they could no longer get along as a married couple because their thoughts, feelings, and tastes had changed so much. TMZ also said that the split might not have been seen because it happened while people all over the country were protesting George Floyd. I got 3 great daughters out of it, Rick told TMZ, referring to Deanna's 3 kids from her first marriage. Besides that, he said the marriage didn't work out and that both of them agreed to split up. He also said that was all there was to it. He shared new pictures of himself with his daughter on Instagram. These pictures show that he still loves his stepchildren as much as he loves his own children. Rick wrote on August 7th that he was taking a break with his daughter for Father's Day. Since he said that about more than one of his stepdaughters, that's a good sign. With the help of his son Corey and his best friend Austin Chumley Russell, Rick was able to handle everything. Rick married Amanda Palmer the next year, making her his fourth wife. He hoped that their life together would be better. But Rick's problems didn't end there. After 2 years, he had trouble with the court with his mother, Joanne Rue. USA Today says Rick's mother, Joanne Harrison, sued him over family property and who owned the gold and silver pawn shop. The court case was brought to Nevada State Court. It was filed against Rick Harrison, the gold and silver pawn shop, Harrison Properties, Jurich Properties, and other people. It can be hard to run a family business sometimes because money problems can make the family break up. The son and mother had this happen to them, which is sad. Fights over money made it hard for Rick and Joanne to be together. Rick's mother went to court and said that he had broken a promise because she had been married to his father for almost 60 years. But Rick made her give him over 51% of the pawn shop while she was in the hospital in the early 2000s, right after she woke up from a coma. But she wasn't sure what she was writing, so this didn't look good for Rick. Fans who had been following the story thought he was a family man who wouldn't betray his family for money. Rick's dad owned 49% of the pawn shop. After he died, his wife took over running it. Still, her son never gave her the full cash flow records for the business. She said she didn't have the right papers for the metal and cash worth more than $500,000 that she thought her husband had before he died. She told him Rick had stopped sending her money from the business her late husband ran. Rick used to send her $25,000 every month, but starting in 2020 he stopped. Joanne was also going to court to try to get that money back. Reports say Joanne got a temporary protection order against her son so he couldn't sell any of the family's things. A lot of fans were worried about how much money Rick had. Rick also couldn't move or hide cash assets or do anything else that would make her less involved in the family business, according to the protection order. They also asked for unspecified damages, a full list of assets, and a court order that Rick couldn't use his mom's money. By way of a constructive trust, he also had to give up any power he had over her property. Rick later said about the case, "The accusations are false, and I think that my 81-year-old mother is being manipulated by others for their own gain." In her letter, Joanne said, "While Rick lives the celebrity life and is in charge of all the family businesses and finances, I am scared and don't know if I will have enough money each month to pay for my medical bills and other costs." According to a story, Joanne was over 80 years old and had many health problems that needed care 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It might cost $15,000 a month to do this. Rick said that the only way he knew about the POA request was from the news. "I've tried to get in touch with her many times in the last few months but haven't been able to," he added. "It turns out that my mom owns one of the companies she is going up against." The pawnstars star seemed upset about his mom's lawsuit. Rick had a lot of problems, but the worst and most important one was still to come. In January 2024, Rick's son died in a terrible accident. In Clark County, Nevada, a press officer said that Adam had died from taking too much methamphetamine and fentanyl. The Clark County office of the medical examiner said that death was an accident. Fears grew when another neighbor said he hadn't been seen since January 17th. He finally couldn't be reached by his owner, so they called the police. After 2 days, Rick shared an Instagram picture of himself and Adam at a restaurant to tell everyone the sad news that his son had died. He wrote, "You'll always be in my heart. I love you, Adam," she wrote with an emoji of a heart. Laura Herlovich, a family spokeswoman, said on January 22nd that Adam had died from abusing fentanyl. "We are very sad about Adam's death. Please give us space while we grieve his death," she said. In a statement, Rick also talked about it and stressed how important it is for the U.S. to take the fentanyl problem more seriously. Donald Trump Jr. was one of many people who sent their condolences after Rick's touching Instagram tribute to Adam, who just said, "Man, I'm so sorry." Adam's older brother Corey posted a picture of the two of them as kids and said, "I'll always love you, Bubba." Adam Harrison wasn't on Pawn Stars, but somebody says he worked at Gold and Silver Pawn before he became a plumber. Corey already said that Adam didn't seem interested in being on the show. Even though Rick's life is full of problems and sadness, he stays positive and hides his pain at work.
He even became very interested in politics. In 2016, he voted for Daniel Rodimer in Nevada's 3rd Congressional District and for Donald Trump in 2016. He even thought about running for governor of Nevada at one point. Rick also said he might run for UN Mr. Many people in the party have talked to me about it and I always think about it. I'm not sure what I want to do yet, but I'm not stopping anything either. Because of what he's done, he was made a Kentucky Colonel in an episode of the Pawn Stars spin-off that was partly filmed at Locust Grove. This didn't come as a surprise to anyone. He became a member of the Kentucky Colonel's Grand Lounge. The Kentucky Colonel is the most prestigious award that the governor of Kentucky can give. It looks like things are also getting better for him in love. People was told by his rep that he is dating Miss Angie Polaskin from Las Vegas at the moment. This is Rick. Angie and I met 6 months ago. She works as a nurse in Las Vegas. We've been in Europe for 2 weeks celebrating her birthday. He also recently posted a bunch of pictures of the two of them getting dressed up for a fancy night out in Paris. These pictures proved that they were with each other. Rick no longer works full-time at the pawn shop. He now stars in Pawn Stars shows on the side. He is not at all like the rumors that he will spend the rest of his life in jail. He is only semi-retiring. Rick is having a great time with his grandchildren even though he is having some legal issues. With close friends and grandchildren by his side, Rick likes that his life moves more slowly and lets him focus on what's important to him, his family, his thoughts, and his own growth. He's still on Pawn Stars, but now it's more like he's in charge of the show than really being in charge of it. He doesn't help run the gold and silver pawn shop as much every day. Now it's up to his son Corey and his good friend Chumley. Chumley has grown up and become a reliable person in the company even though he has had some legal problems in the past. Corey has become a strong businessman on his own. Rick trusts both of them and tells them often how much he values their interest in the shop's history. Rick recently said in interviews that he wants to see more of the world and especially historical sites. This is something he has always wanted to do. He is still very interested in history, which is what made Pawn Stars such a big hit around the world. A new book about his personal philosophy, the lessons he's learned from running a pawn shop for years and how life can take strange turns, is also being written by him. Rick has also helped people in his neighborhood with this chance to remember his late son Adam. He has helped with charity sales, efforts to keep history alive, and campaigns to bring attention to the drug crisis. He has a reason to live even though he is sad, and he can use his fame for good because of these things. News stories that said Rick was in jail were not true and were meant to make people feel bad. His real story is one of strength. Even though he's been to court, lost someone close to him, and been watched by everyone, he stays down to earth. He is the voice of Pawn Stars and also a father, a guide, and a fighter. His story is still being told. Many people still see Rick Harrison as the heart of the gold and silver pawn shop, a strong example of how to find peace and purpose in hard times.